Okay, we're going to start over here and we'll come round. One step forward. We'll start with Mr. Stripy Shirt.
उसको निकाले भाई
Mr. Gupta. Lovely. One nice smile for the one lady among all you. Come on. Sorry,
Parathas.
And the kulchas in
Parathas.
Lassi, sweet
Amritsari
lassi,
fish was good.
fish curry in Kerala.
Fish curry in Kerala.
The curry, prawn curry and rice in Goa.
Yes.
Oh my God, I'm a pain. ये शायद मेरा पहला कदम है in terms of my first English film. शायद इसलिए ये relationship आप ला सकते हैं. This is definitely my first English film on the, you know, in my career. So I guess this does.
First of many.
As you've been a public figure where you've been a Miss World and you have seen both sides of the continent, what is the perception of Gurinder, of the Indian bride looking for her counterpart?
One, I don't think we should be defined, because when you say Indian bride, India by itself is so diverse that you cannot have one singular definition of it. And she herself, in a sense, is Indian, and yet at the same time she is all British, because she's really spent most of her life there. So it is interesting to see how that's precisely why I think the choice of Jane Austen's novel and taking the characters, because she can see how she could so easily juxtapose an Indian family in a classic like that and interpret their outlook and their approach to life.
So Gurinder, you have inserted the songs.
They've written the script really, really well, and that makes our job.
Wait. Let's get the cameras focused. Wait. Okay, ready?
They've written this really, really well, and that makes our job so much easier.
Script is very tight. I think it's straight. It's I think, a wonderfully simple story, and very commercial in that way that it's very easy to read and hopefully to watch. But it's also layered, I think, with many themes, and it's quite a.
And that's the cleverness of the writing.
It's quite a rich story.
I think the beauty of this film is, yes, when you say the characters break into song, that does kind of take you to Bollywood, and the fact that song and dance is so intrinsic a part of our films. But she's done it relative to her characters, to the film, and initially even the thought of singing songs in English with kind of Indianesque tunes, the thought seemed a bit different to me, but it's come really easy, and I think that goes because of her conviction and vision.
Do you think the character Lalita is from an English novel?
Oh, I can answer that. Very. Very. Extremely.
Yeah, very Indian. Very, very Indian. The character is Indian.
And she's proud. She's actually proud to be Indian. In the novel, Lizzie Bennet is proud with who she is and what she is, from a middle-class family. In our film, Lalita Bakshi is very proud to be Indian from Amritsar. Okay, thank you, please.
I've done a couple. I still have one to do in Los Angeles. I play the doll drums very, very badly.
Between our Lalita and our real dancing, and they make a very lovely couple. And the film, it's a film that my mother's going to be very pleased to see, because it's not smutty in any way. Family movie, but also it's for me, what it's turned out to be is a British movie with a nod to Bollywood, and so it's kind of my homage to Bollywood. So it has elements of Raj Kapoor's spirit there. It has elements of Mr. Yash Chopra. It has a identity, and their spirit is very much, within the movie. It has this kind of 70s, 80s kind of Bollywood movie feel, which was the period when I was watching Bollywood movies.
What's the best? You feel that perhaps one is a little more intrigued with someone, then they're letting show, and then the stories is kind of like an insight. The songs are like an insight into that. I think where you start to realize what's really going on in the characters' heads, and they express it in this really nice song moment, which often with conventional Western filmmaking, you don't get that. It's like a little insight into what's going on with the characters and the relationships, and then the story keeps going. It's wonderful.
Also, Martin, how many times your stomach got upset while shooting in India?
Once very mildly. A lot less than my character in the movie. There's one particular scene where I emerge from a hotel bathroom.
He's a hardy Kiwi. He's
Where was
tough.
it?
He's tough.
Where was it? Goa,
She has a question.
Bombay.
It was in Amritsar, but it was very mild. I think it had more to do with my nerves about working with someone like Aishwarya Rai.
Is that the reaction of your
No, I was not.
actually,
I mean,
it was-
how beautiful she is, you know?
Ash,
It
when
was
they talk
Lamberry
Beckham, Beckham, when they talk about a certain kind of sexist attitude or something. In this, not racism exactly. No. I'm talking about the thing where they think they're lesbians and all that. In this movie, is there a social message that Gurinder is trying to give to the people out here in this movie?
No, not really. I think, that's have to be direct that to her. I don't think so, but then ask her.
I think that Lolita embodies what it is to be in a young woman in contemporary India, and Martin embodies what it is to be a privileged, rich American in today's world, and the two of them come together and clash and then make up in a way that represents both those two sides of the world. With this movie, when I set out to make this movie, when we first started writing 2-3 years ago, I had a mission. My mission was to bring what I loved about the affection, the melodrama, the emotion, the colors, the music, what I loved about Bollywood cinema. I wanted to bring that to a global audience, an audience who did not know exactly what Bollywood cinema was, or if they did, had a very warped kind of sense of it being very kitsch. So for me, it was important to make a very affectionate film about Bollywood, not to take the mickey out of Bollywood, and to make sure people in small towns across America, across Europe, across Africa, across Russia, across the world, got an understanding of Bollywood movies from my point of view.
And you don't have to change the title this time around.
It is a British. I wanted to introduce this film genre to an audience who wasn't familiar with it. I wanted to take a storyline that they might already be familiar with, so that they would appreciate even more the Bollywood aspects of the film, because they're already appreciative, or they already understand the story. That was the intention. Now, having said that, I somehow can't even imagine that this is sometimes based on the novel, because all these characters have taken on their own lives so much that they feel like their own people and actually not from the novel at all.
But can it be said that today we don't have a lot of good scripts to work on? That is the reason we draw inspiration from good novels and works from the past.
No, I think that in all forms, we tend to tell the same stories over and over again. There are basically 7 stories that we always say again. What makes the stories interesting is the perspective from which the stories are coming. So I think it's very good to adapt pieces sometimes, because you're taking a story that's familiar, that people know, but you're bringing your own perspective, and and hopefully if you do it well, it's very unique. I mean, no one else could make this film the way I've made it from my perspective. There's not one person in India who can make this film. There's very few people, I would think, in Britain who could ever make this film. It's unique to who I am, what my background is, what my upbringing is, and what my sense of cinema is. So in that sense, a film, so if you were to take Pride and Prejudice, I think you'd make a very different film to what I made. And I think it's how you take a classic and tell the story that's interesting.
The other thing is that just in England, one last thing, everyone has read Pride and Prejudice. It's a book that everyone reads. and it was Gurinder's favorite book growing up. It's a book that I loved in America. And so when we first started out, the idea too of taking something that's such a kind of English classic and making the characters India and subverting it was quite a radical thing initially, to really kind of turn it on its head and have a reason to change the characters and make it contemporary. So I think if you do an adaptation, as long as you have a real reason for doing it and an impulse and it makes sense dramatically, then it's fine.
Okay, one last question, then we pack up. Amritsar Street. It's the opening of our movie, and we wouldn't have had control of the streets of Amritsar to do it the way we wanted to do it. So we put a set up to make it easier in order to shoot a movie song.
How much Indian is this movie compared to the how Indian is it? What are the Indian touches that they've added from the family?
Oh, the family is very Punjabi. The settings, of course, Goa, Amritsar. The songs, although they're in English, there's a lot. It's very hard to define what is Indian, what is British, what is American with me now, because I'm a combination of all of those elements, and so is everyone else involved with the movie. So there are Indian touches in some places, there are British touches in others, there's American in others. So it's a true...
with a distinct New Zealand flavor, too. It's kind of like cooking. It's like an international bowl of...
But at the center of the film, I mean, the driving force of the film is the Bakshi family, who do live in Amritsar. They're a family in Amritsar. So it's a mother and father with 4 daughters, and all the expectations that go with being a daughter and finding the right husband, and the sort of both the comedy and the drama that you go through when you're in that position.
How faithful is the book?
The film is extremely faithful to Jane Austen's original novel. The storylines, the plots, the love story, the characteristics of each people, the relationships, it's all very, very true to the novel. It's just set in this Indian global environment.
And they get to sing and dance.
Any liberties with the novel? Any liberties?
No liberties at all, except that people break into song now and again. Apart from that, it's very true to the themes that Jane Austen was talking about, which are themes of what it's like to be an intelligent woman at a time when women were generally defined by who the men were in their lives and whether they could marry well or not. In that sense, the theme is very pertinent if you come from Amritsar today.
When we adapted the novel, the characters just started speaking for themselves. We wrote it very quickly. We planned it before Bend It Like Beckham, but when we actually wrote it and made the characters Indian, they wrote themselves very quickly. So Aishwarya makes a fantastic Lizzie Bennet, and Martin makes a great Mr. Darcy. They just come alive completely in a modern, setting.
I was worried about the characters singing in English, particularly Will Darcy, because I didn't want people to suddenly laugh, but actually it works very organically because they both sang the songs in character. So they were the characters singing. So actually in the songs they're just expressing themselves emotionally. And the narrative of the story keeps going forward. It's not like we suddenly cut to Switzerland and we dance around mountains. It's like we're always singing songs in situ, and so the songs tell the story, further the story, make the story move.
So are the songs situational, or have they been inserted keeping in mind the huge Indian market that this country offers?
No, it's a musical. I can't say it's a Bollywood musical. I have to say it's been influenced as much by British musicals as by Hollywood musicals. So there are elements from all kinds of movies. Grease is very present in some of the movies, in some of the songs. There is Fiddler on the Roof. Part of what we shot here today was recalled Fiddler on the Roof. There's Fame, Alan Parker's musical, My Fair Lady.
I think what I enjoyed too about it, if you're familiar with Pride and Prejudice, a lot of the characters don't often talk about their feelings, and at that time there's a lot of repressed stuff, and you could sense it and feel it, which made such great drama. And what's wonderful about this is through the songs we get to understand a lot of the internal thoughts and feelings of the characters, because keeping true to the Jane Austen story, a lot of it is still kind of as a big veneer, I think, between the characters, and their feelings are not necessarily expressed, and we as the